Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for coming to the first Startup Grind event of 2018 with the co-founders of JustClean, Athbi Al-Enezi and Nouri Al-Enezi. If you're not familiar with the Startup Grind event, I'm just going to give you a brief about that. Startup Grind is actually a global community of startup entrepreneurs and business founders, and the aim of it is to help communities learn from local success stories based on their experiences within the local market. Because at times, we read about the successes within Silicon Valley, in London, and different places, but their experiences aren't relevant to us. So with us today is Athbi Al-Enezi and Nouri Al-Enezi, and we're going to talk to them about their experience in establishing JustClean. Where did the idea come from? How did they approach investors? And the challenges along the way. Welcome, Athbi and Nouri.
Thank you.
Okay, so if we can begin with Athbi, can you just give us a brief about how did JustClean start? Where did the idea come from? And then just your beginnings in setting it up.
When me and Nouri were younger, we used to live in Kuwait. And after that, we took the decision to move back to the UK to finish our studies in the UK and live with our family in the UK for a little bit. When I took the decision to come back to Kuwait first, before Nouri, because I finished my studies before Nouri. And when Nouri arrived back into Kuwait, we started discussing about the laundry industry, because I was pretty shocked when I moved back about how big the laundry industry was in Kuwait. And working for MBK, I realized quickly that I used to have to get my suit washed at the laundry. And it was a bit of a nightmare. It was a headache having to remember to pick your clothes up and drop them off. And I called my mom a few times to say, please go and pick my clothes up. And she was like, no, I'm not picking your clothes up. And I remember I took, I think, about 2 to 3 sick leaves due to forgetting all my clothes at the laundry.
Oh.
So it was that bad.
Okay, but then you decided to start a tech startup. So you wanted to build an app, although you didn't have, neither of you had experience in building apps, correct?
No, not. We'd never done anything like that before. Even business-wise, we didn't do much business either.
Sorry, this was what year?
2015.
Okay.
So we didn't start as tech business at the beginning. It was going to buy a laundry, and I remember the day because we went to look at a laundry in Hawali, and when we looked at the price and everything, we left. We got in the car, and I was arguing with Athbi. He wanted it, I didn't want it. So we got home and we started thinking what we're going to do. We carried on arguing because he wanted it, I didn't want it. I didn't want to work for, I don't know what it was, like trying to make a laundry income come in, like profit 100 KD a month.
Yeah.
We said it's going to be a bit of a waste of time. So after that we sat down, we were in the house looking at the vans coming in for the laundries around the area in Barakabir. And at the same time we saw the food delivery coming into the area, and the laundry delivery was pretty much the same. Like we saw the same amount of vans coming in and out, and the vans were stopping at every house around Bilfarij. So then we decided that we need to think of a way of getting these laundries together and putting them in a marketplace. So that's how it come that we wanted to go into the tech business as well.
Okay, and you were both in agreement about starting this tech startup, or did one of you have to convince the other one?
No, I think it was very clear from the beginning. Like if you look at the region, there's a few successful apps that had already been successful. So we were quite shocked about the success of apps in this region. So we actually knew about that anyway. But the thing was, like Nouri mentioned, we were pretty shocked about how many laundries would come into our area all the time. I think if we lived in Kuwait all our life, we might have not noticed this because it would have been normal. But going to the UK and coming back, I was like, why is everyone using the laundry here in Kuwait? So I think we were a bit obsessed with laundry from day one. So we liked the idea. And then we sat down and discussed it and said, we'll make an app. But how are we going to start it and what are we going to do next? We didn't have a clue.
Okay, but what gave you the initial drive? So I meet a lot of people, they have ideas, but because they lack the experience within, for example, tech or within business, they don't have any business experience, they kind of give up on the idea. What made you push forward despite your lack of experience in that space?
I think we were willing to learn. I think we wanted to be successful in something. We were very passionate about starting a business, but what the business would be, because I'm not going to lie, we were pretty bored. Like what we'd do is go to work, come home, go to the gym. There was nothing else to do, so we wanted something to do in our spare time that would hopefully make us a bit more income. But when we looked around and that, we decided we definitely want to go into the tech sector because, like I mentioned a few times, is if you look at some of the successful people, and especially in the region, if you look at the background before they went into the tech sector, they didn't have any experience in the tech sector.
Yeah.
So we knew it wasn't going to be hard to learn, but we had to be patient.
Okay. And early days, if I can ask you, Nouri, how did you sort of divide the work between yourselves? Did you have any other employees, or what were operations like?
When we started, it was just me and Athbi for 1 year. Athbi worked full-time, I worked full-time, but the day we went live with the app was on this 9th of April, 2016. That day I called my mum and I said, I've got to quit work. One of us has to quit work. It's either me or Athbi.
But sorry, what drove that decision?
We realised if we're just going to work on it after 5 and the orders will be coming in before 5, there's no one going to keep an eye on it. So all the customers who were making, if they had complaints or orders weren't going through, no one's going to be there to sort it out. So we took the decision. I left work, and then Athbi stayed as well to finance it a bit longer.
And I know you took out a loan to actually finance initial development.
Yeah, well, to start a business, you're going to need some kind of funds anyway, because outsourcing the app to being built, we decided we were going to outsource it because none of us have any experience in anything to do with tech. Even setting up a company in Kuwait, we did our research, we've seen how other people did it. I asked other people what they'd done to start their companies, so we got a lot of help off a few people, but we needed to take an amount. What we did is we went out to these companies that build apps in Kuwait, and we figured out how much it's going to cost us. We figured out how much it's going to cost us to set up the company, the rent through the year. To have a license, you've got to have a rented office, and we decided to take a loan. Of course, we didn't tell our mother that at first. I told her after I took the loan. I think I'd give her a bit of a nightmare. She thought you were crazy, because imagine telling your family that I'm going to start an app and it's going to be to do with laundry. They're like, what?
Yes.
What do you know about laundry, Athbi? You're a bit crazy. And then for Nouri to tell them that I'm leaving my job that's paying him well in the oil sector, they think, oh, these guys they've lost it.
Yeah. Okay. And but if like the early days, again going back to the operations of it, you had to actually convince laundromats to join the app. What was that procedure like? How did you divide it amongst yourselves?
We started development. The company started developing the app in June, and we went live April. June 2015 they started development. April 9th we went live. So during that time all we had was A4 papers, A3 papers with the app screens on it, and just like the flow and like arrows handwritten by me and Athbi, and like how it works and everything. We sat with one laundry, we convinced him, he was happy with it, and then we managed to speak to a few others, and what we noticed was when we started speaking to the older generation who owned laundries, they weren't too interested. So we started focusing on younger Kuwaitis, same age as us. So they started jumping on. They wanted to join, they wanted to help, they wanted to be a part of it. So that's what helped a bit as well.
Okay. And there's like a conflict in opinions when it comes to tech startups outsourcing development. What are your thoughts about outsourcing, and have they changed since you've been acquired by Faith Capital?
Yeah, of course. No one wants to outsource to a company to do the main core of the business. But you have to be realistic when you start. You have to look at your budget. You can't, if your budget's so like an amount, and you can't pay for wages for developers, so you're forced to outsource it. But the best thing you can do, we monitored the design master every day. We visited them every day. Like all the flow charts, everything was done by us. We didn't leave them to do anything. Even the design, they used to send it to us. We'd send it back totally different. So all they were doing was the development.
Actual development.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually met Athbi in 2016. It was part of ArabNet Kuwait. He had applied and with at the time it was called Masbagti,
yes,
not JustClean. And so he was pitching, and 2016 is when we met. Within a span of a year, they got acquired by Faith Capital. If you can just tell us a bit more about why you approached investors, or what were you looking for in investors?
I'll be completely honest about that. We went looking for an investor. As we started, we were new to the industry. We didn't know about investors. We didn't know if there was that kind of thing in Kuwait. We just wanted to make a business and make it run and make a bit of money and see it grow, because we become very passionate about it. I just want to elaborate on something that Nouri mentioned about getting the laundries. Well, I think what the strategy we went on is, if we got the big guy on, the smaller guys would follow. So we focused on some of the big brands in Kuwait, which did help out in the end. And I remember some of the laundry owners saying, "This will never work, but I'm going to sign with you." And they're pretty shocked now about what's happening. So we did, and I want to focus as well on the outsource. I'm not against any decision we made, if it was in-house or outsourcing the app, because if I was to hire in-house developers at that stage, at the age of 23 and 24, how would I know that they're doing the right job or not? So at least we learned a lot from outsourcing it. We along the way, by day-to-day visiting the outsource company, we learned a lot. So I'm not against that.
Okay.
And in terms of investment, I don't think we were looking for an investment. I remember the day we got called up. I was at work, and they said, "We've got a thing going on, Founders Investors, as it's called.
Yes.
And we'd like you."
Sorry, that was an event.
That was an event, yeah.
Yeah.
We'd like you to pitch there. I was like, "No, I've only got 2 hours. I can't pitch in 2 hours. I can't get ready. And what's it going to do for me? Athbi, someone's dropped out. Please come along." I was like, I called Nouri up and I said, "What do you think?" He goes, "Yeah, we'd do anything to get exposure." Okay. So I banged up a presentation. I didn't know what I was doing, and I think we went there. And I think if people remember I think you might have been there on that day. Yeah. No, but it wasn't really a pitch. It was just being completely honest about what we needed and needed help to help us succeed. And alhamdulillah, Abu Khalid, Muhammad Ja'far was there on the day, and that's where we met. Okay. And it picked up from there.
So your ask was not for a specific amount of money. You just needed help with guidance.
Yeah, because I couldn't even evaluate my company at the age that we were at. And like I told you, we didn't have any experience. So how could I evaluate and ask for 1 million or 2 million when I don't even know how much my value is? So we were completely honest about what we knew.
Okay. And what you didn't know.
And what I didn't know, yeah.
Okay. But Faith Capital wasn't the first investor you approached. Can you tell us some stories about other investors?
Just to make something right, that we never approached anyone. We were just lucky on that day that we got invited to that event. Before that, there was people wanting to join, but unprofessional. Like, for example, Douaniya, here's this, you take this, and put me in the rukhsa and all that. But it doesn't work. I'm not looking for money. We were looking for help mostly, like Athbi said. So we didn't get approached by many people, but most of the people that we were approached by were just like small individuals who just wanted to throw money in it. And if you give, for example, you give us 500,000 KD at that age, I wouldn't even know what to do with it. So I'd probably waste it. So I didn't trust myself with that amount of money. So I was honest that we just needed the help to guide the business, and we always thought about the business and the brand. We wanted that to succeed. So.
Okay. And what were you? So you said you were looking for guidance from the investors. How were you able to actually determine that you were able to get the right guidance from, for example, Faith Capital versus other investors? And what do you believe Faith Capital was looking in you guys or in your startup?
I think it's a gut feeling. I think trusting an investor and knowing who the right investor. I don't think there's a special way for that. I think it's a gut feeling. Like when you sit with someone and you slowly start to trust them. I think you need to stakhir, and that's what's going to happen then after that, right or wrong? Like I think after we met Abu Khalid, we quickly made the decision that this was the right decision. It wasn't a hard decision, because the amount that before we even spoke about investment, we were just getting help and guidance from Abu Khalid. Yeah. So he was guiding us along the way, telling us to do this, to do that. Maybe said we did something wrong.
So he earned your trust. Yeah, he earned your trust before that.
Yeah, we earned his trust, and I think he earned our trust as well. Like he'd advise us, and we'd go and change it and show the results of this change, and slowly happened, and then the investment happened.
Nice. But I know there are a few horror stories with some investors. You don't have to mention names, but can you tell us a bit more about the rejections or?
What do you mean? I don't understand what you.
So I know you've approached like or you've had conversations with investors before, and then they said like your business doesn't make sense, or?
Yeah, we had a lot of that, and they didn't understand it that well. Where one of the investors, I can't mention his name, but
Can we guess?
no, you won't guess it. You won't guess it. We sat with him, and he said, "Just give me 10%, and I'll sit with you once a month." And we thought about it. It was like, this is just a joke. You know what I mean? It's not. I don't want to sit with someone for 1 hour a month for 10%. So, because the main thing we wanted, we just needed full time. The business needed help full time. It was like when we first started, the business was small. Then we realised it's going to go bigger and bigger. You know, like you need more people to start controlling it. Like the customers were growing, we couldn't keep up with it. So that's why we needed it.
I've started to remember a few stories now.
Yes.
After you just mentioned that. I think there's two stories that I want to talk about. The one was the Douaniya that he mentioned about. I remember getting a phone call one night and said, "Athbi, we want you to come and visit." I said, "Okay, then we'll go."
You took our younger brother.
I took my younger brother on that night, and when we walked to the Douaniya, there was a lot of people in the room. I was pretty shocked. And I'm not used to going to the Douaniya. But there was a spot in the corner ready for me to sit in.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, "Oh, I think that's my spot." And then
Small bag as well.
and there's a bag on the side as well. I see a bag on the side, so I was a bit
Okay.
scared about the bag.
I'll be I'll say when we walked in, I looked at this brown bag and I messaged Athbi on WhatsApp when he was sat there. I said, "What's in the brown bag?" Have a guess what's in the brown bag. So
Yeah, because he's like, "Don't say yes, whatever you do." Because they take the older guy to sit there, which is me. So I went to sit in the corner, and he goes, put his hand on my leg and said, "This is yours." And I said, "Oh, I don't know what's in there, but this is yours. But tomorrow you go and change the rukhsa and put my name on it. And any paper that comes through the company, I sign on it. That's all I want." I was like, "Okay." I said, "How much?" He said, 10,000 KD. So I said...
He was looking for what amount?
Oh, he just wanted to sign papers, apparently. I
Okay.
don't know. So, that's what he said to me. I want to
And
be
you
the...
said no?
Well, I said,
Okay.
"Ammi la tahrajni قدام العيال," because he put me in front of everyone, put me on the spot.
Yeah.
I said, "خلني نقعد," some other time about it, and I think that was it. Then I didn't answer the phone again. Another time was that we got called up by someone quite big in the industry in Kuwait, and we were pretty excited about it. We're like, "Oh, this guy's called us, let's go. We've only been live for a few days. What does he want?" We went there, and I remember sat there. He said, "Yeah, you remember that now." Yeah.
You had blocked it from your memory. Okay.
So much has gone on in the last 2 years, I think you forget about some of these smaller things. And I remember we were sat there telling him our story, very passionate and proud about it. Because what we did it wasn't small, let's be honest. So I remember sitting there telling him the story, and he turned around and said, "Is that it?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You're in a mess, and I'd never invest in you."
Wow.
I was like, "Ow, okay." So when we sat with Abu Khalid, I think it was a lot different, and the trust grew quickly, and we went ahead. So it wasn't hard to make the decision.
Yeah, but I find this really interesting because a lot of people, when they face rejection, they start having doubts about their startup, about themselves, and you kind of acknowledge that you were kind of a mess. Like you knew this, okay? So how can you sort of plow on, like, or move forward despite the setbacks? What can you just tell us a bit more about the mindset that goes
from being live for 2 days and getting told you're in a mess? You can't even evaluate that you're in a mess. You've only been live for 2 days. You need at least a month, and then you can say, "Oh, I'm in a mess." So even though he said like, we're in a mess, but the first thing you start fixing the mess, and then you start looking on the other. There's like you do in parallel. You fix the mess and then start looking for help. So you can't leave the mess building up and go shouting for help, because it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But the main thing when people doubted us was that it helped us push harder. So every time someone doubted us, it was like they were making a mistake. It was pushing us even harder.
They were challenging you.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was challenging.
Nice. And can you tell us a bit more about the changes? So pre-Faith Capital and then post-Faith Capital, what happened?
I think, I'd like to say it's been a crazy year, the last year. A lot of work's been done last year. I think we come from a car office. My car was the office, and it's still the same car, actually. We're driving around all Kuwait. Nouri was answering calls. I got fed up of hearing him speaking to customers all day. and me driving, and he's dealing with some complaints, and I was like, oh dear, that's a big complaint. So I remember I used to just pull over and let him deal with the complaints for a few minutes, and I used to deal with the laundry owners. But no, we've come a long way, a very long way. Like now we've got.
When we used to drive all the time, if we went separate ways, I've stopped on the medic fairhead on the side maybe for 1 hour on the phone, call after call coming in, and the fairhead many times sat on the side of the road, and like the police coming saying, "What are you doing?" And I was just saying, "I need to sort something out quickly,"
Yeah.
and then I'll be leaving.
But what kind of complaints were they
Just
giving?
general complaints. Where's the laundry? Will the laundry come to me? Because it was new. It was not like people didn't like understand what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, like, I'll go back. I think it's been a crazy year, a good year. We've learned so much. I think I'm a lot of a different person than I was before. I think I used to be a bit stubborn,
Okay.
but I've learned that you have to listen. Like, I think even if you give me 2 million KD today, I'd still want people around me after what I've seen from this last year. You do need advice off everyone. I don't think everyone's clever. Like, I think even the most successful people in the world, if you give them a big amount of money and say, go and spend this, you need the people around you. I think you need the experienced people around you. And I think that's what I've learned this year. And I've learned to listen to people. And I think I've learned how to build a company in the right way, in the most ethical way. I think that's what we've learned this year, if I take back what we learned this year.
Okay. But how has the shape of JustClean changed since being acquired?
Because when we started, it was just me and Athbi, so there's no processes or anything. It was just made up as we went on. Like, for example, there's like a complaint will come in about, and there's like refund. It'd be me making a decision, like, right, here it is, just take your money back, it's done. And then, because I remember being in the car once, and the customer called me. I'd never speak to a customer as if it's a small company, we're sat in a car. I'd speak to as if we're in a big company, 400 people sat around. So when the call come in from the customer, she said, I've made the payment, I want to cancel my order, I want my money back. I said, okay, then wait there for 5 minutes, we'll call you back. We've just got to go to the finance department to transfer the money to you and get the approval, and then in like 24 hours it'll be back into your account. So I put the phone down, went on the KNet website, transferred the money, called her back, said it'll be in your account in the next 24 hours, they've approved it. So then her, when she goes to speak again, she's going to speak that it's a big company, you know? But now that we have more employees, so there's more processes in place. So when it comes from the call center, goes to the operations manager, he moves it on, then says cancel, for example, goes to the finance, and it's all done properly.
Okay.
Like one of the main things I remember, I just thought about something like that. Because the policies, we've put policies into the company. We've built a proper company. I think in the last year, I think we've had some good times and some hard times. There's always going to be good and hard times. But I remember one thing is that having policies and stuff like that's very important. Even I follow the policies. Like as a co-founder, the other day I had to go and do some paperwork in the Hukuma, and at 8:30 I was calling the HR manager, telling him I'm going to be late. So I think like even I respect the policies and that, and everyone in the company. And I think it's the culture we've built is not an employee, it's a team. We don't treat anyone as an employer. Like if you look at our office, like it's an open planned office. I don't even have a desk to sit on. I just get my laptop and I just sit somewhere and sit between everyone. And I think I've learned a lot from the people that we've hired as well. Like I still ask for advice every day. I don't ever make a decision without getting people's advice. It scares me to make a decision without hearing a few people's advice.
Okay. And speaking of culture, so what do you look for in new hires, and how do you maintain the culture?
I spoke to you today on the phone about this, so
Yeah.
I'm going to try and remember what I said to you. It depends, like the level of the vacancy. For example, like the product department, we have a head of product, so he's very experienced. He's done it before, and the developers, they're all developers, and they're young as well. So sometimes, for example, with developers, it doesn't matter the age because technology is always growing every day, and like the younger they are, they learn more as well. So that's another thing. So it's getting the right balance. And with a startup, it's not 9 till 5 at all. That's one thing I'm going to say. It's not 9 till 5 at all. For example, one of our developers went on holiday for 2 weeks. Me and the technology manager, we minded him every day. We ruined his holiday.
Oh.
So when he come back, we said to him, how was your holiday? Was it good? He's like, I'm on the phone to you two all day.
No, but what do you specifically look for in terms of values? Like, how do you make sure that a person is the right fit for JustClean?
Like the process we follow in JustClean is, I think, like in terms of culture, like we go through the interview process. Like the concerned manager will do the interview process, the HR guy will sit and do follow the process, and then finally one of the founders will sit with the guys. I like before I go into the room for the interview, I say to the HR manager, I say, "What do you think?"
Okay.
And he'll tell me what he thinks. So I've got an idea before I sit in there. All I look for is is this guy going to fit into our culture, because we have something great going on at the moment, and I wouldn't want someone to come in and ruin it, or not going to fit in. I don't think someone can come and ruin it, but if they don't fit in, it's going to take them a while to understand everything. So I think that's what I look for most importantly.
Okay, but what does fit in look like?
I think that's a hard question to answer, but I think it's your gut feeling. You'll know if that person's going to be, and I think it's like a young team, friendly, and we all stick together. I want to see basically if someone will accept that and accept to working long hours with us, because we're always running. Is someone going to run with me? That's what I look for. That's one of the most important things.
Okay, but a lot of startups talk about culture and the importance of culture, and actually a lot of corporations, but it ends up being like a poster on the wall, and then nobody actually implements that culture. So how can you maintain, or how can you ensure that people are in alignment with your startup's culture?
Me personally, my opinion, I believe it comes in stages. Like, for example, when we started, we employed 2 people. Then from there, you grow. Then the next people that come in, and even like now, when we interviewing, for example, developers, call center agents, we take opinion. We look at the ones who are already there, and sometimes get them involved in the hiring process, so they see as well who's going to be coming, for example. So then you get in. It's the balance is going as you grow, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So it's hard to pinpoint exactly how you do it. But it starts from being like, you've got to be there early. If you're not there early, no one's going to be there early. So
Okay, so you set an example.
Yeah, you have to set an example. If you don't work long hours, they're just going to follow you. They're going to do less hours. So that's probably one way of doing it.
I think there's a few important things that you have to follow in terms of the culture. Is, for example, we have a weekly huddle, and we didn't know about that at first. But after we hired our HR manager, Barak Al-Musallam, he advised us that we should have a weekly huddle, and I think it's made a world of a difference after having this weekly huddle. We just gather all of us, from the top person in the company right down to the smallest person in the company, the oldest, the youngest. We all get in the room together, standing up for 15 minutes a week, and just talk about whatever we want to talk about. And another thing is we play football together once a month. Last night we had a tournament. Oh, wow. We managed to have our first tournament because our teams got that big that we had to have a tournament. And then we do a staff activity that we vote on once a month.
Okay.
I think things like that are very important.
So you're kind of building the relationships between the team.
Of course.
Okay. And when it comes to the roles you used to play and the roles you continue to play now, is there, like, I believe there's still the division between you managing laundries, sales, marketing, and then Nouri is managing operations, hiring, customer service. Can you tell me a bit more about your day-to-day, what it looks like? What are your metrics? Like, what does success look like for your role?
I think at the beginning we didn't know what each other was good at, but it became very clear. I didn't want to deal with customers, but Nouri liked dealing with customers. I liked dealing with the laundry owners and convincing them to join with us and promising them things that are actually going to happen. So I deal with all the sales in the company at the moment because I like doing that. I like dealing with people, and like I said, I like the relationship with people. I think it's very important to have a good relationship with everyone because being a marketplace, your business relies on them kind of people, the service providers. Without the service providers, you're not going to have a company or a business. So if they're happy and the customer's happy, then you're definitely going to be happy. So I think you kind of learn what you're good at. And I think the most important thing is that you accept to learn. Like I'm still learning every day how I can improve in what I do and get advice of people. I think a lot of things is, if you look at a lot of startups in Kuwait, is when someone has a startup, they're like, I'm the CEO of the company, but you're not who you're the CEO of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think titles, you earn your titles. Titles have to be earned. And I learned this in the UK as well. You don't just title yourself to be on LinkedIn as a CEO.
So it's based
You have
on
to
what
earn
you
these
do.
titles, yeah.
Based on what you do, not your position. Like.
Yeah, you're respected more if you earn it as well. So I think, like, yeah, you learn what you're passionate about, and I love sales. I never thought I would, because I get to a point where sometimes people would say that I don't like to deal with people, but I learned that I do like dealing with people, so it changed my vision in things.
Okay. Your day-to-day.
Yeah, but like 3 months ago, I was heavy in operations. Now I'm more on the technology side. I don't have any coding experience. If you tell me what this code does, I wouldn't be able to tell you. But I trust the team. That's one thing. You have to trust people, and you have to listen to them, because they like with me. I don't have experience with that type of thing, development. But the team we have, I trust them, and when they say something, I believe them. But the main thing I do with them is like manage the projects. So when product hand over the products, I make sure we're doing the right ones at the right time, and not just being forced to do something because everyone wants it. Because if you do, you can make a change in the app that could probably crash the app. So you have to make sure it's done in stages and done properly, and especially testing as well. I don't like seeing the app doing something wrong. It hurts. So.
Okay.
You asked about my day.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I wake up at I think about 6 o'clock every morning. No matter what time I go to sleep, I go to the office. I think I'm one of the first people in the office at 8 o'clock before work starts. We go for a lot of meetings throughout the day, making big decisions on different things. Me and Nouri are involved in everything. I do sales, but I'm involved in everything. So is Nouri. We're still learning. And then after that, I try to go and sit in the douaniers with the laundry owners. Like if you think we've got 90 laundry owners to deal with, throughout the month, you've got to try and fit time for each one of these people. I think keeping that relationship is very hard. And keeping it at a level that you want it to be is quite hard. So you've got to keep visiting these people if they go to hospital, if they have a wedding. I think these things are important to keep doing. That's my day.
Okay. There's a service that JustClean provides that many people may not know. It's the service you provide to spas and hotels. Can you tell us a bit more about where that came from?
Well, that's been kept a secret for a long time, that part of the business.
I just revealed the secret.
Well, when we started, seeing as we were dealing with laundries, I got phone calls of people for help. Like I remember it was one spa in Sherb, she called me. She contacted me on Instagram. She said, I need your help, can I call you? So she called me up and she said, I need you to find me one of the laundries that are close by that can offer me a service. I don't mind paying how much, but I need your help to advise me. So I advised her and it went through. Someone else called me, a third person, a fourth person, and so we realised there's a business here. Why don't we take this part of why do we start something with this part of the business as well? And alhamdulillah now is grown very well. We deal with a lot of spas, hotels, salons, and gyms, and we're growing in that part of the company as well. Yeah. We're taking that into technology as well. But that's not something we advertise or anything. That's an extra service we do, and it helps us stay stronger in the market. Like we're offering our SPs extra business as well as the customer, so it makes them more loyal to us. And you're also advertising your company through the corporate and getting deals through the corporate companies as well. So we've slowly grown and pushed the company through technology in that part as well.
Yeah. And I think there's an excellent lesson to be learned just from that, or two lessons. First, that an opportunity of having an app that's just for laundries, consumer facing, created a new opportunity for you guys. Like had you not had that reputation, had you not had that product, this new opportunity of dealing with the hotels and spas would not have come about. And the other lesson is, so you were responsive to the demands and to the needs of your customers, rather than be dismissive or saying this is not something that we do. You actually opened up to that opportunity, which is like an excellent approach to have, and not many people kind of embrace that feedback they get from customers.
I think we've improved it as well, if anything. Like we've offered extra services. We've seen why don't we do this, why don't we do that. So we've listened to other people, laundry's advice as well. And I think we're slowly getting to at a good pace and making it our own kind of concept, if you get what I mean.
Okay.
in terms of what we offer to these corporate companies.
So you listen to the needs and then you come up with your own solutions.
Own solutions for it, yeah.
Okay.
We study it because if you think of the laundry industry, it's all offline. It's pen and paper, even in terms of the corporate. So to offer them technology as well, I think has been great.
Okay, excellent. I want to go back on to the point of the change in name. So Masbakti to JustClean. What was the reason and who decided this?
Masbakti is good in Kuwait. Everyone calls it Masbakti. It's my laundry. So when we first started, it was the first name we come out with. We didn't think about it in depth. We fought for Kuwait, and that was it. So, but then when we sat down with the team, Faith Capital, and we decided that JustClean, when you go to other countries, for example, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, and Emirat, it helps better. You know, because any English name now around the world you can brand, for example. But Masbakti is called Maghsala in Saudi Arabia, and they wouldn't know what it is. Some people in Saudi Arabia, some people in Bahrain wouldn't know what Masbakti means. Because even when we started here, people didn't understand what it was until they saw what it was. Then they understand what the name is. So that was one of the main reasons.
Okay, so it's part of the growth strategy, expansion strategy. Okay.
And it's like living in England, being around British people. JustClean is like British, you know what I mean? So it's good.
But also within the app, you have a subscription service that's called Ishtirakat.
Yeah.
So that's an Arabic name.
Yeah, it's an Arabic name, and in English we call it Ishtirakat.
Yeah.
What it is, when you can buy a card worth 20 KD, and you get 5 free, for example.
Okay.
And if you pay 40 KD, you get 50 in your balance, and then if you pay 60, you get 75. But we're changing the name of that in English. We're keeping it in Arabic, Ishtirakat, but we're changing the name in English. Okay. So we're going to call it something new. Okay.
Are you going to reveal the new name? Or?
No, I'm not going to reveal it. If you all download the app on Sunday, Monday, you'll see the new one.
Okay, excellent. And have you already expanded to the GCC or not yet?
Well, it's definitely going to happen this year at some point. I think it's all how you do it and at the right time. It's got to be at the right time. So it's definitely there in the plan. It's definitely going to happen. But when it's going to happen, we're still looking at that. Where to go first?
Okay.
We have a few countries in mind, but I think I'm going back to making a decision. We're very careful of making decisions, and not one person makes these decisions. So we're still studying the market, and I think within the coming month or two, we'll know where we're going to be. But it's going to be fairly quickly.
Okay.
Like once we've made the decision, we're going to do it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you guys very much. I'd like to open the floor to the audience. Just a heads up, I'm going to put some employees of JustClean on the hot seat because I'd like to ask a bit more about the culture, what it's like to be part of JustClean. And also, Sarah, don't run away. Also, I'd like to know a bit more about Faith Capital, so if I can get someone from Faith Capital to speak about that. But first, if I can get a question from the audience. Any questions? Yeah.
In tech industry, every day you have a new competition. So I just want to know how you're preparing for the competition. What are your...
I think like we don't forget that there might be competition, but I think the most important thing is that we focus on what we're doing and doing it the right way. And then if you focus on that, then you can't quite go wrong. And like it was going back to the culture of the company and everything, but competition is always good as well. And we could learn from them in the future as well. But I believe if we keep following our steps, then we will be okay. The market's big, there's enough room for a few players, and competition's good in the end.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening, Athbi and Nouri. I would like to ask about the acquisition of capital. What the things you like and what the things you don't like after Faith Capital acquisition? Thank you.
I don't think there's anything that I don't like. There's a lot of things that I do like. I don't think I could name them all in 5 minutes, to be honest, because I've learned so much this year, and I'm still learning an extreme lot from some very experienced people.
Top 3 lessons from Faith Capital.
Listen, that's the one thing. Respect people. No, that's another thing. To respect your co-workers, the people that are with you, and I think I'll let you say the third one.
Ethics. That's one thing we've learned. How to do it in the right way, not the wrong way. So that's one of the main ones I've learned over the last year. But to come back to your question, is that you'll always disagree with some things and you'll always agree with some things. because we're not all the same, you know what I mean? So, but at the end of the day, the decision's made for the business, not for anyone personally. So that's the answer to that question. Yes. So everything's for the benefit of the business.
Yeah, hi. I've got a two-part question. You've kind of touched on it earlier, but I wanted to ask you to dig in a little bit more on it. You mentioned about you had good jobs and you wanted to, you had to quit your job to put more time into the business. So was that decision based purely on the number of orders you were getting, revenue you were making, or did you just start before that happened? And the second part of that question is, with the phasing and scaling of your business, when you went from the design master to, I guess you have your own developers now. So when you did that, how did you pick the developer? Is he local? And were there a lot of changes when you made that?
Yeah, when the day, I'll never forget the day I quit my job. So I can tell you what, we hadn't had any orders. It was 0 orders because it was the first day. But in business, you have to take a risk. If you're going to leave it, it's never going to happen on its own. At least one of us had to come out and do it. So at least, and then I knew in the future, if it didn't work out, I'm sure if I went, I could do it. I could do any job, if you know what I mean. It's a risk I've taken, and I'm going to have to pay for it if it goes wrong. And on the developer side, when we employed them, most of them Asian, and we look for all kinds of people. But most of our developers are from India, and we have one Jordanian.
Did you have to recode everything, or did they just fix it?
When we looked into the code at Masbakti, we changed it a bit, so we had to develop a bit more. We used the same one, and then we did another phase which we released in last October. That was a big change, but we were using the current system and adding on to it. So it's been patched up in that since the beginning. But I can't currently tell you what we're running on now.
I think I'd like to tell you something as well, that if you're passionate about what you're doing, quitting your job's not going to be a problem, because if you're going to treat it as a side business, it's always going to be a side business. If you believe completely that you can do it, then you need to quit your job immediately. Because if you're going to treat it like a side business, it's going to be a side business forever.
Just one thing before you answer. The thing is, when we did it, we never. If you think of the money more than the business and the passion, it's never going to work, because you have to live off minimum amount of money. I'll be honest with everyone in the room that I was living off 20 KD a month for maybe 1 year when we did Masbakti. But at the same time, if I did have money, I wouldn't have time to spend that money, because I was always working all day and night. So there's never time to spend money if I did have the money. So it wasn't an issue. So that's just for advice if you're ever going to start yourself.
Yes. Sir, for a business to be successful, I guess the main thing is doing advertisement for your business and marketing. So how much from your investment you have spent on marketing, and what are your strategies of JustClean of marketing and advertisements of your business? Thank you.
When we started Masbakti, that was another thing. I had no experience in marketing, but if you look at the market, it's funny because I was discussing this today. The people understand there's a big offline market, so people are going to the laundry. It's converting them to an online market, so it's focusing on them people and offer them services that they're already doing, but turning it to an online service. Like, I remember one of the main things that helped us from the beginning was the laundries were offering discount, and we were sponsoring this through Instagram, and calling people to come to use the app and get a discount. And I got the laundries to pay for this, because I promised them that if they did this, they'd get more business in it. So I'd only do it for 3 laundries at a time. I wouldn't let everyone do it, and I'd focus on doing it like that, and it worked. And going back to how we do it at JustClean now, we have a very experienced marketing team, and with certain strategies throughout the year, through influencers and other campaigns that we're going to be doing online and offline. And some of this team are in the room, so if you'd like to ask them about that, I think they could give you a better answer than me on that question.
You'll point them out in a minute. I just want to say something. When we started, we learned how to use Facebook ads and how to do ads on Instagram, because we went to get quotes from companies, third-party companies who do these ads for agencies, for example. And the pricing was crazy. I'm sure everyone knows that. So what we did, we learnt ourselves how to use Facebook ads and did ads on Instagram. And I used to come to the end of the month and say to Athbi when it was payday, I was like, come on, get 10KD out, let's put it on. And when we used to do it, and then you see the registrations and the orders, it's an addiction. Yeah. So you go say, come on, let's add a bit more this time and see what happens.
I remember I had a spare 20KD, the one. I had a spare 20KD, the one, but I was like, should we go out for dinner or should we put it on Instagram? Yeah, definitely put it on Instagram because you get a great feeling seeing the numbers come in by just using that 20KD on it. I remember that now.
Hi guys, I just want to say congratulations to you at such a young age that you've managed to do this. It really is inspiring. My question is right at the beginning. Did you guys not think it would be, well the question really is, did you not approach any government funding that they do this for Mashru'at Saghira and so on? Was that something as a possibility or did you find it difficult? Because that's what I've been hearing as well. Just if you could share that if it was a suggestion back then, was it something that you thought about?
Yeah, people did suggest it to us, but I didn't look into it that much. I think we wanted to be quick at what we did. So we took the money and we went immediately and did it. I didn't want to wait around, gathering documents and stuff like that. But I believe there's some good things happening in the country at the moment in terms of funding and helping the young entrepreneurs. But it's the way you want to go about it. I think how we were brought up, we were a bit stubborn, so we wanted to do things on our own and see how it went. I didn't want to take money from anyone else. I wanted to take the risk completely on myself. But that's the way I've been brought up. But definitely, if I look back, maybe I would have approached the government for funding. Because I know a lot more about it now. I didn't know much then, because we'd only moved back to Kuwait for a year before we started, so we didn't know about that a lot.
Got it. All right, all the best.
If you want to give an advice for an entrepreneurs, what would be? Summarize it. Youngsters like you.
One of the main things is passion. You've got to be passionate in what you do. I say that to everyone every day, and I say it at home as well. If you don't believe in what you're doing, then who's going to believe in your company? You've got to be very passionate in what you do. And if you have an idea, and if you believe that you can't be passionate enough to do it, then don't bother doing it. That's one of the main things.
Yeah, I'm the same as Athbi, passion and belief. If you don't believe in your own brand, you might as well quit today. But another thing is, when you feel things are going wrong, you've got to do something about it, not just sit and wait for someone to do it for you. So if you could take the initiative to fix things with the help of others, then you feel better. For example, when we started, I told you about the story. I left Mubarak Kabir with Athbi, and I said to Athbi I'd put contracts in my bag. And we were going to Jahra, and the person in Jahra was at the hospital, come from Ahmadi, because he was there. He said, if you want me, come and I'll sign, but you've got to come to Jahra. So we left Mubarak Kabir. I said to him, yeah, the contracts are in the bag.
I asked you about the contract as well.
Yeah, as we were walking it 3 or 4 times. Yeah, they're in the bag. They're in the bag. I printed them, they're in the bag. We got to Jahra, and he goes, come on, the guy's outside the car with the pen, speaking to Athbi. He goes, give me the contracts. I went to the bag, and there's no contracts in the bag. So he looked at me, he's like, all right, I'll leave. He left, he didn't say anything to me.
I apologised
in the way, oh, we need to fix something. The guy said, it's okay, then come to my Duania tomorrow. So that was fine. He got in the car, and then we were arguing all the way home. Like, how did you forget them? So from that day, I'd never forgot a contract again. So I made the mistake, but I make sure when you make a mistake, just don't do it again.
Hi, Assalamu alaikum. I want to know, what do you think is more important? Finances are more important, or building up a team is more important? Because I have a startup now, so sometimes I face problem with the finances. But I think that, okay, if I have a team, then maybe they will help me in making more money. But to have a team, I need to pay them. So finance is also more important. So I just need to know, what was your idea?
I think it was different for us because we're brothers. Like I mentioned this to someone the other day as well. So we didn't quite have that problem. I think it's picking the founders in the right way. If you can get people on that will work for you for minimum money, or people that you know, then I think that would help out a lot. Get friends on your side. But then like the founding team, I always say I don't think it should be too big. Like if you look at us, it was just the 2 of us, and I think that helped out. But I think finance is important, and having the right team is important. So I don't know how to answer that one. I'd like to say finance is more important, because if you have finance, then you can do it on yourself a bit.
Can I get someone from Faith Capital to give a brief about it? I'm looking at you, Hamid. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. I have to say something before I talk about anything about Faith Capital. Now, we've also learned, all of us, all 25 of us, a lot from these two young men sitting here. I'm about 10 or 11 years older than them, and I never thought, to be honest, that I'll be learning a lot from someone who's 11 or 10 or 11 years younger than me. They are, so none of us know, we're all entrepreneurs. We're into this journey together. None of us know whether we will be successful or we will succeed or fail. However, we know one thing, إن إحنا رزق اللي بيلنا من الله سبحانه وتعالى من الله. It's not up to us. However, what we can do is we can fight every day. And these guys are fighters. And I have to say something. I haven't seen young people at this age, 25 or 26, that have risked everything towards this venture. And that, to be honest, I have learned a hell of a lot. And I've been working for 15 years, which has not that much, but in the last 1 year has been maybe my most, it's been my toughest year. And I believe in 2018 will be even a tougher one. But when I look around and I see young people like that, Athbi and Nouri, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me with this amazing team we have in Faith, that's what keeps me going. But that's just, I have to say that we've also learned, all of us, a lot from these two young men. طبعا, what is Faith? Faith is an operating venture capital company. It's not a typical, I'm not an investor. I'm an operator. I work long hours every day. So, but at the same time, I wanted to give back, to share that how I was able to do it before. And I didn't do it before based because I'm smarter than everybody else. I'm actually not smarter than everybody else. I'm extremely normal. I have very normal skills. However, I try to surround myself with intelligent people. People that have that fire in their eyes. So I started looking around. There are others that are even much better than me. So how can I support these young people so that they can achieve even better successes? So it's about leveraging that know-how. So Faith is it's a company that we invest in young startups, technology space, focus bil GCC, and we don't just invest. We invest and we leverage our know-how. And when I say we, it's basically myself, the experienced people that we have that know the certain pillars of building a business, and how we can leverage this with that fire that you see there together to achieve and venture into the unknown. One of the things that made me invest with these gentlemen is the gut feeling. I had a feeling inside my gut the moment I saw them. I can't explain that. Again, like I told you, I don't know whether I will succeed or fail. However, I followed my gut feeling, and at the same time, we did our homework. So it's about combining this combination of science and tawakkul ala Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the most important thing. That's what Faith is about. We look for companies like that. We look for people. It's about people. We go there, we support them, we back them up. We try to leverage whatever knowledge we have and make them achieve great successes from this region. Because if we achieve success, it sends an example. It shows how that in the end, people from this part of the world, they can do exactly what people can do in the West. They're not better than us in anything. And one of the main missions of Faith Capital is how to show faith and tawakkul ala Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, basically how to link religion with business. Lots of people think religion has nothing to do with business. Religion is all about a lifestyle. And part of the lifestyle is business. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put us on this earth عشان نعمر الأرض هذه مو نخربها. And جزء من تعمير الأرض is doing good ethical business, which hires people, and then we try to spread the good. So that's one of the things I hope to invest, and إن شاء الله نلاقي ناس مثل عذبي ونوري بعد وفيه, and we're looking to try to push our agenda forward. وإن شاء الله الله يوفقنا بإذن الله. Thank you.
Okay, one more last question.
Okay.
Copyrights. And when you were trying to look for investors, were you just a bit worried about that? Because you can say out your idea and somebody just takes it off.
So you're talking about before we approach the investor.
Yeah. I mean, were you worried about
opening
that in any sense? Like you were saying earlier, you mentioned a guy just said, you know, here's the bag and just sign it over to me. That's basically he wants your idea. That's
Yeah,
what I understood.
I understand that, but I didn't give out anything at that point. So
Okay.
he just liked the idea and wanted to invest in it. I think the only time we actually opened up was to Abu Khalid Muhammad Ja'far when we actually opened up our business. But from doing our research, we learned that that's what you have to do. You can't be scared about that. Because if you think about it, if someone wants to copy your idea, they can go and start it. So if you're not going to trust the person from day one to open up to them, then you can't even want that investor to invest in you. You've got to have some kind of trust there.
Sure.
And I think just another point on that, he didn't approach the investors with an idea. He already had a product. Yeah. So he was already in the market, and then it's given that it's something public, it can't be stolen from them. Okay. Thank you. And can I have a word from JustClean? We'll get back to that. If we can have from the JustClean staff. Yeah. Sarah, we're looking in your general direction. Can you tell us a bit more about what's working in JustClean?
There's a lot of people here from JustClean. Let's choose someone else.
We'll pick on them as well. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay. So what does working in JustClean mean to you? What is it like?
For you, for the clients and the public is different than us, JustClean as a staff. Because for you, it's just an app that gives you garment cleaning care and services and laundry. But for us, it's building the future. When I'm JustClean, I'm with the team, and the rest of the team, we see the future. We're building something, as Mohammed Jafar Bukhad and as the guys said, we're building something new and something exciting. So the passion is there and the belief is there. So it's fun to work there.
Okay,
So,
and can I get someone else? Yeah, thank you. Someone else from the JustClean team to volunteer? Anud?
Yeah, social manager.
So this is Athbi's request. Anud, yes.
Hi, everybody. Well, it's a different experience altogether because I'm used to social media with corporate. So this is a startup, and it's laundries. So going to laundry visits and all of this, it's a completely different experience altogether. I think I'm still learning how to handle the social media. That's
Okay.
all I have to say.
But I'd like also to ask you a question. What does JustClean culture mean to you?
Well, it's more of a closer culture. Like when you're used to corporate, it's more of like you're not used to the people around you. You don't know anyone. You don't sit with everyone. And he talked about the team huddle, which we have on a weekly basis. So it gives us more exposure to everyone as the team.
And also Yasmin? This is Athbi, not me.
So culture at JustClean, I believe, is clear and consistent and transparent. The belief that every individual is empowered and that it starts at the top and goes below. I think the fact that our team, I don't want to say management because we all do feel like one family, our team believes that manpower is 75%, 80%, 90%, 100%, 200% of the success of the business. And knowing that as an individual, you're not just, it's not a job for you anymore. It becomes your second home, or even sometimes your first home. In my case, it is my first home. So I think that culture that was built from the top, it gave us all a clear vision of where we're working, where we're going to be, and the belief that it is possible. And just like Mr. Muhammad said, the belief that with Allah's help and with the passion and the drive and the vision, everything works the way that you want it to. So definitely this is how the culture at JustClean interprets to me as Yasmin.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else to pick on from the team? Shadi?
He's
Shakti.
for 2 days. I'd like to
Okay. No pressure. Yeah.
It's your bad day, isn't it?
Well, I just joined like last week, and for me, it's more of like not the job, it's a vision basically. Like when I had my interview and I got selected, so it's all about like how the guys are working and how they are growing. And even the like work culture in my office is like something like we all are sitting together, we all are having discussions of technology, and it's not like you have to do this and you have to do that. We all are on the same page at the time. So like, yeah, belief is always there. And we are not just investing our time, we are investing ourselves also in this business. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Anyone else to pick on, or we move on to other questions?
Sorry, but just clean it and a bit of faith as well.
Excellent.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Athbi. I would like to say that I would add that the culture in JustClean and Faith Capital, by the way, I'm working in Faith Capital, and my role is to help JustClean in terms of operation, customer service, and having and putting in place all processes to handle all the customer service. And I'm coming from another environment, another country, and I'm learning every day, from these people, from the JustClean staff, and from Faith Capital. So we'll take.
Okay, thank you very much. We had a question at the front. Yeah.
First, I would like to give it up to you guys. It's been definitely a breakthrough for you guys. My question here is, can you define success on your own terms for everybody here in the room?
I believe success is different levels, if you know what I mean. I don't believe I'm the most successful, or I've reached success in a level, which is like lowest level, for example.
Yeah.
But there's different levels of success. Like from startup to what it is now, that's successful. I'm happy with that. I didn't think I'd be able to reach, like at the start, before I did this, if I thought now 2 years ago, I wouldn't think I was sitting here doing this, because it wasn't something I was into. And then I think it's on the next level. So when we complete this year and we achieve all our KPIs as a team, then that's another part of the success. And then after that, the next year we start doing them KPIs. Once we reach that, that's another part of our success. So that's how I define success.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think for me, success is when you hit your goals. Like you're setting different goals throughout the year. So every time you hit your goal, it's a feeling of success. Like I still feel that we can improve. I still feel that every day I can improve. So once you keep improving and you keep reaching these little goals for your target, there's a feeling of success every day. But what's the final success? I don't know. When will be success? I don't know. I don't think you can ever say that I am fully successful. Just keep hitting your goals and feeling these little parts of success.
So you're hungry as ever,
oh, yeah,
I would say.
I'm very hungry.
Year after another.
If I could choose not to sleep, then I'd definitely not sleep.
Awesome. Another question. It's going to help a lot of entrepreneurs. If you guys would actually think of giving an answer to it, but are you guys profitable as of the moment, as of today? Because your timeline is just 2 years, I think, since.
I think if anyone would say that we're profitable at this age, after that investment, they'd say it's crazy. To be able to grow as a business, you've got to keep investing, and as long as you keep investing, then the profit's going to grow, obviously. And when you keep investing money, you've set goals, so obviously you're going to be hitting these goals, and that's profitable in a way. But it depends if you're profitable in money or knowledge. In knowledge, I'm very profitable.
Excellent. Thank you.
I'm not going to ask you about how much you've sold the company for, but someone like you, mashallah, Allah yabarak lakum, why didn't you took this money and put leg on leg and sat at home instead of having the hustle to run the operation on daily basis, long hours? So this is my question.
I think it's a different business. We didn't sell. We partnered up, so we didn't actually take any money. It was an investment. So it wasn't actually selling the business in any way. It was an investment to help us grow the business and get knowledge. It was an investment. It was not an investment for me to take in my pocket. It was an investment in the company to make the company to grow, for me to benefit, hopefully in the future from. That's how the investment was.
Okay. Guys, thank you very much for your answers. And thank you all for coming. I'd like to thank our sponsors as well, which is a Kuwait London company. You can enjoy their proper sliders outside. And also Tap Payments. So if you want to start a business and you want to be able to accept payments as quickly as possible, they can set you up within a day. So thank you all for coming and enjoy the food.
I think it's been a great time tonight here at Sirdab Lab. I think we've learned a lot as well as entrepreneurs and sharing knowledge with people and people asking me questions as well. Like I got asked questions tonight that I never even thought about. So I think I've learned a lot here, and I think it's great what Sirdab Lab are doing for the entrepreneurs in the country. And I think it's amazing. I really do. I think it's great what's happening here. Thank you.